guys, what's going on? Your host, your boy, George Mackay, back live on location for the first time since March, since COVID hit us, and I got a good one today. I got one half of the new ownership of Battle Arts Academy. He is also one half of the ownership of HWE. Please help me welcome to Straight Talk Wrestling, the one and only, and also one half of Roncheenuts, AC Cocca to Straight Talk Wrestling. How are you, brother?
I'm doing very well, George. Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to this and giving the viewers some insight.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about everything that's happened with, obviously your history. We'll go into that for sure. I want to know all about that. I want to know all about Roncheenuts. Also with one half of your tag team partner, Dave, who's also ownership of HWE with you.
Absolutely.
And here at Battle Arts. Talk about all the great things you got planned and the future. And also gluttonly pitch myself for a future commentary role. I think that's a good idea. I just did that. See the segue, guys? I'm so good at segues.
Getting it in there, right?
All right, so the first question I always ask, and I haven't asked this in forever, but I feel like you would have an awesome answer for this one.
All right.
Everyone's got that moment in time where they remember falling in love with the business we're going to be talking about today. Do you remember? I call it the defining moment.
Yeah.
Do you remember your defining moment?
I do, very much so. So I've been watching pro wrestling ever since I was 3 years old, but at that time, obviously it's a little bit harder to remember things. But I will say that WrestleMania 6 is my defining moment. Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, which was in Toronto. So there's a plug there for the GTA. But I remember spending time with my grandmother and at my aunt's house and renting the video cassette of WrestleMania 6 over and over and over again.
Should we talk about what a video cassette is so we can fill people in on that?
Yeah, some people may
we're aging ourselves horribly right now.
That's true. I shouldn't have probably said
So a video cassette was the thing about this big, and it was before DVDs and before Blu-rays, which now, as you all know, you young pups out there, digital. Everything's just on your phone. We didn't have that option. There was actually a company called Blockbuster.
That's right.
Or Jumbo Video.
Yeah. Or convenience stores.
Rogers Video. Rogers Canada had a video store. It was crazy.
At that time there was no WWE Network, so that's how
that was your on-demand service.
That was your on-demand service. That moment was huge, though. WrestleMania 6, Hogan Warrior, face.
Hadn't been done before in the business. Oh yeah, the
poster.
Yeah.
Like just looking at that as a kid, and that was definitely my defining moment, 100% hands down.
And I think that's a great moment. That's probably hands down. That's a personal WrestleMania for all of us in the GTA because it was here in house. Just like 18 is also a personal one because again it was here in house,
which I was there for.
18?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm wearing my Austin shirt, and I immediately took it off to reveal my 1985 maybe Hulk Hogan shirt.
Of course, because he fought The Rock.
Blue with the yellow. And it was like, that was a moment. I'm like, oh my God, he's here. So.
And he still looks over-tanned and over-steroided. But
Which was a great match him and The Rock had. So.
Well, The Rock is one of those storytellers that a lot of people underrate his skill in the ring.
Yeah.
He's hands down probably one of the best ever did it on the mic. But his skill in the ring is great. I find The Rock to be, I kind of call them 5-trick ponies.
Okay.
Much like John Cena and even Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
They're great on the mic. They're legends. They're icons. But really, if you think about it, can you go back and list more than 5 moves of any one of those guys?
Not really.
That's why I call him the 5-trick pony.
Really.
It's an unfortunate stigma, but it is the truth in the business.
Yeah. Cena, I think he had that stigma about him, and then he started doing some other stuff like towards the end of his last run, I suppose. Or when he was the United States champion and had that open challenge, he was doing a little bit of stuff. I even seen a Hulk Hogan match from Japan, and I don't know what he used some sort of a leg lock, and I'm like, really? Like, since when? It's because he's in Japan that he had to. You gotta use what that particular crowd is into at the time. But if you're North American, all you want to see is a leg drop, which in hindsight can't. Let's be honest, you've trained in the ring for a long time. The leg drop cannot put anybody down. No. The Hulk up, the 3 punches, send him off, big boot, leg drop, it's over. Yeah.
When you were a kid, did you want to shave half your head? I did. I wanted to shave half my head and grow it out long like he did.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking now, I want to keep my hair, but back then I was definitely a Hulkamania.
I know my hairline was here once upon a time.
Yeah.
And it's 2 daughters now. It's made a lot of things thin out.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I got a 13-year-old daughter, and
I met before we went on the show. She's almost his size.
Yeah.
Height-wise.
Yeah, she's getting there for sure.
All right, so let's talk about, the inception of so many things. Let's talk about the inception of Roncheenuts.
Okay.
Let's talk about how that got started. And in tag team wrestling, I'm a big advocate of tag team wrestling. I love tag team wrestling. I find it the truest, purest form of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, it's two people have to be in synergy all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm about tag teams who come up together. I will rep a Gallows and Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I will rep, so many great tag teams who are not FTR. So many great tag teams that have come up together.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, however, of throwing together tag teams.
Okay.
Big pro wrestling companies love to do this, where they throw together two guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Cesaro and Sheamus was a perfect example when they were a bar, both singles wrestlers thrown
Yeah.
together because they didn't have anything to do with them.
That's true.
And then they become a great tag team.
Yeah, they
But
were.
I find fluidity to be in coming up together,
Mm-hmm.
working together, striving together for one common goal, which is to rock any tag team belts you can get your hands on.
For sure.
So talk to me about, I guess, when you started this, why tag team wrestling over singles run?
Okay.
And then let's get into the inception of HWE and all the great stuff you did with there before we get into what you've done with Battle Arts and what your plans are for the future with Battle Arts.
Okay. Well, I feel like I can transition this. So with training, we both of us, me and Dave, trained out of the Hamilton Pro Wrestling Academy with Rip Impact.
Fantastic Canadian legend, for sure, 100%.
Fantastic, great guy. So with that being said, running through the shows that we were doing in Hamilton and such, I see Dave come along. So Dave started shortly after me, and this guy's rocking pink. So pink was my color. I'm an avid Bret Hart fan. Okay, the Hart Foundation.
Did you also have a wet mullet with curly hair back in the day?
No, I did have long blonde hair once.
I'm obsessed with 1980s mullets. When I watch back old school stuff, I do make fun of it. Like, I look back at, if we're going to talk Bret Hart for a second, just to spin off. One of my favorite Bret Hart matches, obviously him versus his brother, WrestleMania 10. I could watch that match. I mean, that's a match that anybody who asks me, what's a match I can watch and just fall in love with wrestling, that's a match for me.
Oh, that's a great match.
But also Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart at SummerSlam.
Intercontinental
Championship.
Yeah.
His back was hurting. Everybody knows he was going to drop the title that night. But the story that was told and how much back pain he had.
Oh, yeah.
But what I love about that match most of all, though, and I know you remember this being who you are, is how Bret Hart's back was attacked by Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
So they could play on almost even field.
That's right.
And I felt that was a great part of the match that a lot of people don't pick up on.
Mm-hmm. And that was probably thought of in the preparation for that match.
Between two legends and icons.
And how great of wrestlers that both of them are, were. And in that match, and I'm thinking, with Kurt Hennig in his back at that time, that sharpshooter finish, he wrenched it in. It looked like he was.
I take it with a little insult to injury on that part.
Yeah, I mean,
if I'm going to take your gold, I'm going to take it. You're not.
I love giving a sharpshooter. I've taken a sharpshooter, and it's not easy on the back.
No, it isn't.
Yeah,
because the deeper
it's not easy.
The deeper you squat down, the more pressure is put.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, all of our backs are the same, so it's it's going to cause you some pain.
And now, would you consider that to be more pain-wrenching than, say, a Scorpion Deathlock by Sting? Because Sting's is a sharpshooter, but kind of standing up.
Yeah,
right?
No, a sharpshooter would be more impactful.
Not the Scorpion Deathlock?
Yeah, it would be the sharpshooter.
I'm an avid Sting fan, too, okay?
Yeah.
Black and white face paint.
Yeah.
Looking like the Crow.
Yeah.
All angry with a trench coat. I mean, that was the 90s.
Yeah.
That was the 90s for a lot of people.
I didn't like the Wolfpack Sting. That was the
red and black Sting?
Yeah, the red face was...
Well, he was on a lot of coke at that time. So his nose was white, but everything else was red and black.
Yeah, maybe that explains.
Yeah, there's a lot of explanations there. If you don't know what coke is, Google it. It's not the drink. I'm not going to tell you, though.
Yeah, not a good subject.
But back to you. So tag team wrestling, Dave was rocking pink.
Yeah, Dave was rocking pink, and we were to have a one-on-one match. So we had a one-on-one match, and it was, pink versus pink. And anyways, that's how that started. I said, hey, man, you can't come in here rocking pink. I said, we're going to have a match. So the two of us have a match, and at the end of it, now there's not been a tag team in place in Hamilton Pro Wrestling yet at this point. And at the end of the match, Dave gifted me with a jacket. So it was a screwy finish. He had his feet on the ropes. I wasn't too happy about that.
Typical Dave.
Right?
Typical Dave.
And
if he was standing in this room right now, I would give him some. Oh, hi, Dave.
Yeah.
He's off camera.
Yeah, I knocked him out. So, and the fans are going nuts. There's, I don't know, 250 people in attendance. Anyways, he gives me, so he brings out this pink bag. And the pink bag comes from underneath the ring apron, and it's a jacket that matches his jacket, but with my logo on it. So we wear pink, we got the frills and all that stuff. So I look at it, and the fans they're going nuts. And should I do this? should I do this? And I pick up and I grabbed the microphone and I said, you know what? I said, between the two of us, because Ronnie Randallson is Dave's wrestling name, and Coconuts is my thing, AC Cocca. And I said, you know, between the two of us, this is Roncheenuts. And the crowd exploded, legit, and it was probably the best moment to date. We've had some cool moments, but after that, we kind of solidified, you know, well, not solidified, but started the tag team division in Hamilton. And once the championships came, we did win the Hamilton Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championships and held them for a year. We were supposed to have a cage match, first ever cage match, which was supposed to happen back in the springtime for Spring Slam, which obviously got postponed due to COVID.
Fucking COVID.
Yeah, that's bull, because I really want a cage match. So, you know, going from there, that's how Roncheenuts started. That took off. Slap That Meat's our slogan. Eat it, beat it, repeat it. Stuff that's hanging up here in the battle shop.
All available, guys, at Battle Arts Academy.
So from there, though, like Dave and I, obviously, you know, like we're the best of friends, and the partnership that we had, not only in wrestling, translated into business. So not shortly after, but with time obviously passing by, we started Hamilton Wrestling Entertainment, and HWE kind of took off on its own. We had several events in the Hamilton area. We did Flamborough for a pop-up event, we called that. And we were affiliated with Cable 14 in Hamilton, which we won an award for, which was awesome. So, you know, not only were we on the internet, but we were also on cable TV, you know, doing commercials there with like Puff and Pretty Ricky, you know, having those guys come in. Obviously, there's so many of us. But that was a fun experience. And HW kind of just took off. So, you know, we were successful that way, and had our own, you know, obviously championships came into play. But it's been a while. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. We actually had our last event the week before everything was kind of shut down for COVID. So we had like 650 to 700 people inside Carmen's Banquet Center in Hamilton, and a week later is when everything was shut down. So
scary times.
Scary times for sure. I'm glad that we had that event, because we did crown our television champion in Johnny D and our heavyweight champion in Rip Impact. So, you know, more to come, obviously, and now obviously more is on its way.
Well, you know what? We're kind of in the midst. It's weird. We're kind of in the midst of a change in the world, and not to get too political, but something was announced today. So we're going to obviously date this. This is going to drop in December, close to Christmas. But something happened today that is kind of the first wind of change, and that's being a newly elected president of the United States.
Right.
Now, we're here in Canada, but congratulations to Joe Biden and everything that his campaign did, running a clean campaign against, as my daughter calls him, the Cheeto Man, which would be Donald Trump. Yeah, hashtag Cheeto Man.
Let's hope it's a clean campaign.
Well, I mean, you want to hope, but politics are a sketchy thing. I mean,
politics are everywhere.
Especially here in Canada. I mean, look at our leader. One day he goes blackface, next day he's, you know, in a fucking thing in a cottage for fucking 3 months.
Yeah.
So I mean,
makes no sense.
You can tell I really love Justin Trudeau, by the way. Huge fan. So with the wind of change, something else happened here in Mississauga. There was a wind of change. Anthony Corelli, who was the former owner of Battle Arts Academy, him and his family found their forever home in Georgian Bay Area, which is fantastic. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it left a lot of things up in the air. Now, when I think of Ontario indie wrestling, there are a lot of staples to the community. There is Hamilton, which has so many fantastic promotions. You've got yourselves out there, HWE. You've got Alpha One is out there. There's so many promotions in that city alone. It's ridiculous. It's a hotbed for wrestling because it's so close to Buffalo that you can literally drive an hour and a half across the border, and somebody can hit a gig and drive an hour and a half home.
For sure,
it really is.
Yeah.
Also, it's next to Burlington, which I consider the armpit of Canada. It smells like shit in Burlington, but I'm just sorry, anybody from Burlington. I love Burlington. It's great. I love driving through Burlington. But winds of change happened, and there was a lot up in the air. And here, especially at Battle Arts Academy, the Don Koloff Arena, that is a staple in Ontario indie, period. It is. A lot of big names have been housed here. A lot of great promotions run out of here. A couple I'm proud to be affiliated with, Destiny Wrestling, run by the Iceman. You know, Revolution Women's Wrestling, run by my good friend Chris Levenois. Took me a long time to learn how to say Levenois. For a long time, I thought he was Greek and it was Livonis, but it's not. He corrected me on my own show. Hi, Chris.
That French, you know, way of saying things.
Yeah, like he was the 15th Musketeer or some shit. Levenois. All right. But a lot of great promotions run out of here. And I was excited when it was announced that you guys were going to take over this facility because I thought, okay, now we're talking about guys who have had some huge success in the Hamilton scene.
Mhm.
They're bringing their experience here. And in my head, as a wrestling fan, I'm already seeing cross promotion ideas. I'm seeing invasion angles. I'm seeing HWE crashing a Battle Arts show. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing roster versus roster. I mean,
Yeah.
as a wrestling fan, it doesn't get any better than that. I should book, by the way, just say.
There's so many exciting things that can happen.
There's so
right?
many exciting things, and that's the great thing about wrestling. Wrestling is something for me that since I was a kid, I mean, I watched my defining moment. If you've watched the show, is a lot of people know it, but I watched a bootleg tape Christmas time, Superfly Snuka, the Madison Square Garden show,
Oh, yeah.
when he took the jump from the
jump.
top of the cage.
Yeah, yeah.
Foley was in the crowd. I was not in the crowd. I was like 6.
Foley was.
But I remember beating the crap out of my little cousin on Christmas Eve, waiting for gifts to be opened, and I just turn around and I see this dude looking like Tarzan on top of the cage jumping. And as he hit the ground, I looked at my dad and I said, "What's that?"
Mm-hmm.
And my dad goes, "This is wrestling. There's guys like Hulk Hogan." I'm like, "I don't know who that is, but this guy's cool. I want to be this guy for Halloween."
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "I want to walk around in leopard underwear and jump from the
do
top of things."
Did you do it?
Not the leopard underwear, but I jumped from a lot of shit in my house.
Yeah.
I broke a couple of my parents' coffee tables, which I did not
Nice.
pay them back for.
Nice.
But wrestling has given so much to me in terms of what the sport has done for me in my personal life and my career, but the podcast has grown and everything like that, that it's something that I've always went back to in my life. Every time I was down or something was bothering me, I would drift away and watch wrestling for 2 hours.
It's like the safe zone.
It is.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a wrestling fan, you're always accepted and loved. There's no judgment in a wrestling fan.
That's right.
And it was a great, when I got back into it, because I fell out of it for a little bit, but I got back into it right at the tail end of 95 before everything exploded with the Monday Night Wars.
For sure.
And we were spoiled back then.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of
Very
great
much
moments,
so.
but a lot of negative moments. There's a lot of bad that went with the Monday Night Wars. People relevant as the best time in wrestling.
Yeah.
As great as it was, there was a lot of horrible shit. There was a lot of weird shit that happened. Kane had sex with a dead girl. Mae Young gave birth to a hand.
Yeah.
There was weird shit that happened in the
way
Monday Night Wars.
women's wrestling was perceived back then, and just all the angles.
I
Like,
will
everything was
never
ridiculous,
show my daughter, the
Yeah.
mini host, I will never show her anything that happened in circa 96, 97 unless it's Trish versus Lita. Because that was the only kind of wrestling
good matches
that was
back
good.
then.
That was good back then for women. And I believe those two icons, they paved the way for what we have now. And what we have now is classic. And I'm a big advocate of women's wrestling. We mentioned that before we went on.
Yeah.
But with all the things that can happen, how did this kind of happen? I mean, Anthony must have had so many people reach out to him about how we could do it, what we could do, how we could grow the brand. But how did Anthony settle on you guys? Because, I mean, if somebody's going to hand over what they've built, it's not an easy transition to do.
For sure. No, this is definitely his baby. This was his from the get go. There's videos online of the construction of the place, and really what had happened was online, which we see everything now these days. I saw a post from Anthony, and in Anthony's post, he had described how him and his family were transitioning, and it was kind of, a new life that he wanted, and everybody is entitled to that. We all make transitions in our life that lead us down different paths. And really, I mean, like the post was that Battle Arts was closing. So with Battle Arts closing, not only did I read that, but I also read a lot of the students and everyone that calls this home. Whether it be pro wrestling, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Olympic wrestling, at the time judo. This was home for a lot of people. And just like wrestling being a safe zone for pro wrestling fans, this is, a lot of the members and the students here, this is their safe zone. You go through life and, your day to day, but you come here, you train hard for whatever it is that you're trying to succeed at. So, and a lot of them, were down about it. I had immediately, because Dave and I talk a million times a day, I immediately called Dave, and I had read to him what I, off of Anthony's post, and I said, how can we make this happen? So this was it was an idea of ours, not just for Battle Arts, but in general, what we wanted to do to help the business grow. So seeing the opportunity to come here to Battle Arts, obviously the great facility, what happens here, who's been here, the students, the home, its longevity. I said, how can we make this happen? and we reached out to Anthony. We had actually filmed a match that's on YouTube. It was quite funny with him and Stone Rockwell, Nick, Asylum, and so that kind of started the relationship. Anthony came in. They did some filming for HWE, the HWE network, with him and Nick on his show that's on the network. And anyhow, so we got together with Anthony. We had this great meeting. We spent some time with him at the beach. I think that, and even he had said it, I believe in the post that he had, put out afterwards saying Battle Arts will remain open, was, he trusted in who we are. And, the human beings that we are, what we stand for, our values.
Great heads of hair.
Right?
All three of you, great heads
Dave's
of hair.
a barber, so I get my cuts for free. But you might have to pay, George. So, but the people
Hold on a second. We're talking about having to pay for haircuts.
All right.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah. 25 now. But
$25 for a haircut? Do you give me a scalp massage with that too?
Because you complain about it, or else it would have been 20.
I didn't complain. I politely, agitatively suggested that what the fuck is what I said.
Yeah. See, now you swore, so now it's 30. Right?
Getting heckled on my own show.
Right? So anyways, just like the people that we are, I think that we mesh very well.
Mm-hmm.
And, Dave and I were able to
make this happen. So we're happy to be here. Not only are we happy to be here for the opportunity of growth, but for the opportunity to continue having this be a home for many students of many sports. Right. And there was a great thing that happened in the summertime, tail end of September. You guys had 2 outdoor shows. I was able to attend one on the Saturday, which was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't able to attend one on the Sunday, but one on the Sunday was interesting because we had a lot of title changes on the Sunday.
Yes.
And we had a lot of title changes on the Saturday. The tag team champs, Joe and Mike, who I had on the show, they dropped their titles.
Yes.
And we have some new champions.
Yes.
And O'Connor and Lee Costa, which is fantastic. Yeah. Lee Costa is great. And so is O'Connor as well. And then we also, your champion, dropped his belt to his former partner and best friend. Those are the storylines you love the most. It's such a simple storyline.
Yes.
When two friends cross the line, when the green-eyed monster rears its ugly head.
Yeah.
Jealousy is a fickle bitch.
I wonder if that's going to happen with Dave and I.
I don't think so.
No?
I think you guys are past the point of now just being friends. I think you guys are soulmates.
Yeah.
I think you're going to walk through life together.
Bromance.
Yes, you have bromances.
It's a bromance.
It's a heavy bromance.
It's a bromance.
We're developing one too until the haircut incident.
Right?
Now it's gone out the door.
Yeah,
completely.
what happened?
But and also your women's title, because Amy Crimson was not able to attend defend her title. Mm-hmm. But you had 2 fantastic opponents, and the daughter of the former owner, Bianca Corelli, now has taken her rightful place at the helm of the women's division.
Yeah. Her and Ashley had a match there, and Bianca came out on top. And with Amy Crimson, I mean, she's put out some stuff online recently too, where gearing up for a return. So that'll be interesting to see where the women's division goes. Amy Crimson did not lose her championship; she forfeited it due to COVID. But so we'll see what happens there. And then Scarlett went up to Lena.
That was a great match.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite match of the night on the Saturday. And especially seeing Elena, who is, if any of you haven't seen it, check out all the stuff on the socials. It is up on YouTube and stuff like that. There's clips I posted on Straight Talk as well. She is literally 4 foot something. Yeah. But she spun around Scarlett and she did AJ Lee's Black Widow in almost picture perfect form.
I saw that and like the swing and how she caught it, and I was like, wow.
But then Scarlett, I mean, there's nothing but pure power in that girl's arms. So even a Black Widow on her is not going to slow her down.
For sure.
And she was actually on the show back in October, so you guys can go check that out as well. She, I picked her as one of my rising stars, somebody to watch in 2021, because even with COVID restrictions and everything that's happening, right now Peel is in the red zone, hoping to get back to the orange zone. Yep. And the orange zone means shows can start resuming. Indoor shows, minimum of 50 people. So
we all want as wrestling fans.
I do. Yeah. I'm licking my lips to get back to a fucking show. I don't even care. It could be a whole bunch of midgets in a ring. Or I'll put my daughter in the ring just to see her wrestle around with somebody. I don't care. Yeah. I won't put myself in the ring. This is my moneymaker. I can't hurt this. Yeah. AC, I can't. Yeah, this is everything.
Me either.
Well, couple dents and bumps and stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to see it so much. It's an HD camera.
Thank you.
He's wearing a lot of makeup. I am not. I'm all natural as I always do.
The makeup artist.
Yeah, his wife was there earlier.
Yeah,
He also had to dry. Whoops, I
She
shook
hooked
the
me
table. He also had to dry his shirt to make sure it was pristine. And not wrinkle free.
Wrinkle free. So, but with those, with shows being able to happen, and with what happened in September with all the title changes, I'm kind of interested to see from COVID, coming back from COVID, who's going to step up their game.
Mm-hmm.
I really do want to see, if you have a championship, not only, are you going to defend that championship, but I want you to represent Battle Arts. So that also leads me to something that I've kind of heard around. Obviously, I've been in the indie scene and, hearing some sort of stigma. I think you mentioned it in the Scarlet interview.
I have, and it's not the first time that I've mentioned it. Every time I interview a Battle Arts star, I kind of get their perspective, because there is a stigma. A lot of times, Battle Arts wrestlers don't necessarily get utilized at shows.
Right.
Because of the simple fact that if you're a Battle Arts trained wrestler, there is a fast track to the WWE through Anthony Corelli. Is it true? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I've heard the stigma a lot, and I don't think it's fair or justified.
I don't think it's fair or justified either. And coming in here, spending time here, getting to know the pro wrestlers and the students that are trained to become pro wrestlers, I don't see that at all. I see students who are dedicated to the craft. We have 3 nights a week of wrestling. Not only are they coming in to train for pro wrestling, but here, I'll give you an example. You talk about women's wrestling, Ashley, or some fans may know her as Smashley, coming in here well before pro wrestling class, because their memberships give them access to many things here at the facility. It is the Ontario Performance Center, so there's well above just pro wrestling here, but coming in, doing a workout, not only doing the workout for 45 minutes, then taking a Muay Thai class. After Muay Thai, pro wrestling. Like, that's dedication, and I don't understand what the stigma was. So Dave and I coming in here, again, we're involved with the indie scene. Of course, Anthony is very much still, the heart of Battle Arts and still a home for Anthony. And we also have a new coach in Nick Stone Rockwell,
who's been one of my white horses. I'll lay this out right now on Straight Talk. I've hit him up numerous times for an interview.
Yeah.
And have not gotten back.
No.
And I'm not saying that.
We can fix that, maybe.
I know we can.
Yeah.
I know we can. You write his paycheck.
Yeah, we can fix
and
that.
And I can demand anything because it's my show. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I can demand things.
Yeah.
But if we could set that up, it'd be great. I love Stone Rockwell. I think he's a genuine, fantastic wrestler, great character.
Yeah.
And when you guys brought him on as coach, I was like, perfect. Who else better than a guy who spent 20 plus years in this business, who knows this business, who knows how to design a great character? Yeah. And that's actually 100%. One thing. I've never actually had the ability to pick. I picked Anthony's brain when I sat down with him, which is also available on my archive, Straight Talk Wrestling. See Glutton for promotion. Segues. Always segue.
Yeah. Cheap plug.
Cheap. Of course it's a cheap plug. It's my show. It's free.
It's got to be.
But character development.
Right.
This is something interesting for me, because this is now getting your perspective on character development.
Okay.
Let's say I come in as a new student, and I go through the reins, I go through the ringer, I go through the first initial couple of classes. You guys see that I'm dedicated, I'm willing to work hard.
Right.
And you come up to me and you say, okay, George, guess what? We're going to do a Rising Star show in a month. Okay. Which is the undercard show to the main roster shows that they have here at Battle Arts, is a rise, which are up and comers, which I think is a great thing. It's a great program, because it gives those kids who are in the classes that are not necessarily ready for the main roster, it gives them a chance to perform and work in front of a crowd and get comfortable in front of a crowd. Experience, you earn your stripes.
Yes.
You earn not just hitting the ropes, but you got to earn your stripes outside in front of a crowd, because a wrestling crowd is a fickle bitch, man.
That's right.
They could love you 1 minute and they could turn on you the next.
But you also
I know Dave's experienced it a lot.
Right.
You, I don't think so, but Dave has.
Yeah, for sure. But you need to be. You got to earn that spot. So with even with the Rising Stars shows, and we're going to touch on the characters. I know you were trying to get to the characters, but coming in, just because you may show up, and you're going to show up once a week, or whatever the case is, that doesn't mean that you're getting a spot. You better earn your spot,
and you have to keep your spot.
And you got to keep your spot.
Okay.
And that's what's going to happen here. And with characters, I'm not sure which way you want to go with the character development.
Well, so let's go back to my question here for a second. So I go in, I show the work, I show the dedication. Right. You guys think now, okay, I've earned a spot. So you come up to me and you say, okay, we think you've earned a spot. We got a show in a month. We need you to come up with a character. Or do you say, this is kind of what we want you to try the first time around? Do you give your students a little bit of freedom and a little bit of rope to kind of go out there and do their own thing a little bit? Or do you say, let's tweak this, let's tweak that? Or how does it break down? Do you come up with a name first? Or do you come up with a backstory for your character first? How does it all work?
Well, Dave and I mean, obviously we have our characters, but I mean, that's a big part of pro wrestling. So, I mean, to be a pro wrestler, there's a lot of things that go along with it. Character is huge. I mean, you could go in there and you could do as many flips as you want and, you know, as many, you know, arm bars or leg locks or whatever. But if the fans don't buy into you, there's no point to it. You know, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be bored for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. There's got to be interaction. There's got to be a character. So coming in, you train. Obviously, you want to come up with a name. You know, do you need a backstory? Maybe. I mean, if you're asked for a story on your character, or what about slogans? Or, you know, you're going to come up with merch and, you know, you're going to brand yourself. There's a key word, to brand yourself. You know, we branded our characters. I think that that's a benefit to anyone that wants to take pro wrestling seriously. Brand yourself, and it can't be generic. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to come out and you're going to wear, you're going to be Stone Cold. You're going to wear black, and you know there's nothing to the character. Well, but what did Stone Cold do? It was his mouth. It was what he said. It was the way he acted, the interaction with Vince McMahon, and that built up the Stone Cold character, which ultimately built up Vince McMahon as a heel himself. So there was something to it. So definitely, you know, coming up with a character and, you know, then what's your moveset with the character, right? So, you know, I like to think like in our tag team, Dave and I, there's a contrast, like, you know, he's more skilled, like he holds a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He's more of a technical guy. I'm more of a power guy. You know what I mean? So, okay, what does he do in the ring that's different than what I do? And then how do we mesh that together? You know, so your moveset, you know, could be related to the character that you portray. You know, if you're a high-flying luchador, then you're going to do lucha moves. And, you know what I mean? If you're a power guy, you're going to do power moves. And everything just needs to make sense. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does make sense. I get it. You've got to kind of develop the character around yourself. But okay, let's play a game for a second here. If you're up for this, let's say I'm a student and it's I've earned my spot. What would you suggest for a character for me?
With just straight, like you don't have any idea.
I come to you and you guys have already come to me and said, okay, you've got your spot, George. You got the show in a month. And after a week of racking my brain trying to come up with stuff, going to my fridge and looking for inspiration. Do I call myself Sunny D? Like, what the fuck do I do?
Okay.
And I come to you and I say, okay, AC, listen, man, I've been scratching my brain. I've been sleepless nights trying to figure out who I am.
Okay. I got it. For you, particularly, with Straight Talk Wrestling, okay? You're a straight shooter with your mouth. So, how about you call people out on the shit that they're doing, whether that be, you know, maybe you're speaking the truth. You know what I mean? You're gonna call it as it is, where you're kind of crossing the lines of reality and not.
So I could call somebody out for what they did backstage, or at practice the day before.
Right.
I like it.
Or, you know, like things that you know, I like that because that adds some realism to it.
I like when the realism does creep through. It makes it for a more genuine, like because you're not going to like everybody.
Right.
So let's write a storyline for me right now. Let's say I'm in class and there's this new kid that comes in and I just don't like his face.
Okay.
You're not going to like everybody in life. We know this. You
But
and I like each other.
But just because
Dave and I, we're on.
You're iffy?
We're iffy right now.
Okay.
But we like each other. So let's say I see Dave and I'm like, I don't like this guy.
Okay.
So I decide, you know what? I got my first promo I got to cut at the Rising Star. So I'm going to walk out and I'm going to say, you know what? I've been here now. I've been training for 6 months, 3 months, whatever, and I'm doing my thing. And there's this guy, his flashy mohawk, and his barber fucking college certificate, and he's just walking around giving free haircuts to everybody else with me.
and charging you premium.
So I want at the next Battle Arts show to have a hair versus hair match.
Nice.
And I want it to be anywhere I want to go. Last man standing, hair versus hair throughout the entire building
I
match.
like it.
I actually
I
want
like
to
it.
close the building down and have us start at opposite ends of the building looking for each other, finding each other.
Someone's going bald.
Playing mind games. And at the end of it all,
Mm-hmm.
I shave Dave's head. Because I win.
Cool. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can get the clippers for you.
And I could dress like Donald Trump.
But but you right? We'll get you a spray tan before
Perfect.
you go on.
Walk around going lies, China.
Right? China. Right? But again, but a straight shooter, right? Why don't you like Dave? Right? Is it because of the haircuts? So you're gonna talk shit about his haircuts, or maybe the fact that he gives bad haircuts? I think mine looks all right.
Maybe
but
bring out some examples up
Right.
on the screen and say,
Right.
look before, look after.
You know.
Look what happened.
you got to back it up, and that's the thing. So again, for a character with what we're saying for you,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like from the mouth, or like, and then I'm thinking Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart, right.
But like with the straight talk wrestling, and then that's your brand as it is, and then now you're, straight talking about calling somebody out on their shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but why don't you like that person? Do you not like the person because of the way they look? Because we shouldn't judge people on the way they look. Is it on the way that they act?
If we did that, I would have no chance.
Right? Is it the way that they look, or is it the way that they act, or is it something that they said?
Right.
Whether it be backstage or not. I mean, some realism is good. You need stories. As a fan myself, I want to invest into that. So if I'm going to see you and Dave wrestle, what's the story there? Or am I just seeing you and Dave wrestle?
Right.
Right?
Right.
What makes the fan interested in that? And that's why, as professional wrestlers, we put on shows.
Right.
To show for the fans to be invested in. It's entertainment too.
But I also call it, and I don't know if you'll agree with it or not, I've said this numerous times on my show, I call it the most amazing art form that there is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally, after all the promos are cut,
Yeah.
after all the shit talking is over, it's you staring down your opponent or opponents, in your guy's case, the other side of the ring, and the time for talking is over.
Yeah.
Now you're doing all the talking with what I call the dance inside that ring.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have chemistry, and sometimes you don't. So I pose
Right.
this question to you.
Okay.
All the matches you've had and all the indie stuff you've had, in the tag team side of stuff, or even in your singles runs before you guys became a tag team,
Right.
who would you consider the one person, other than Dave, that you had the absolute most chemistry with in the ring? Like when you just went out there and you pre-planned everything, because as we all know, the matches are pre-planned, but still what you guys do in that ring is a risk, and it is an art form.
Yeah.
Who would you consider to be one of the people you just, right away, boom, you clicked, and it was just pure, unadulterated, just you guys, you clicked. You knew the move sets and the way you did it. You walked after 20 minutes in the ring, you went back, you sat down, you slugged some water, and you just said, fuck.
Yeah.
I consider that a top 5 of my career.
Hmm.
Have you ever had an opponent like that where you just had that instant chemistry in the ring?
I have some really good chemistry with Mike Forte, who's a Hamilton Pro Wrestling champion. Him and Dave had a little bit of a scuffle as a storyline, but like Mike and I in the ring, just things picked up, and we could just do it. We did things that we didn't know we could do. But I kind of, if I was to say, and I could say this on a tag team, like my favorite match that I've had was at one of our events with HWE, where Dave and I took on the Gym Rats, which is Hacker Scotty O'Shea and Del Bruno.
Yeah, both guys are amazing. I've had both guys on my show as well. They're fantastic.
You know what? And we had I think the match was like almost 25 minutes. And the match was in memory of Dave's brother-in-law who passed away. So we did that. But the match, just the way that those guys who have much more experience than we do, like the match was phenomenal. Like, and I don't, sometimes there's like too many spots in a match. Dave did a destroyer, Canadian destroyer. First of all, I've never seen him do it. I never thought he'd be able to do it. With those guys, it was easy. Things happen, you know what I mean? And I would say that's not only is it my favorite match that I've had, but working with two guys and having that kind of chemistry in the ring to put on a match like that, phenomenal.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Well, shout out to the Hacker Scotty O'Shea and Alessandro Del Bruno. I mean, That's pure artistry in motion.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I haven't seen at a Battle Art show that I'm interested to see.
Okay.
And it's something that maybe
Roncheenuts?
no, Roncheenuts for sure, absolutely.
I know.
Maybe one half.
Yeah. One half.
Maybe one half. But
the one who's bigger.
The one who's bigger, yeah, for sure. And who has a better haircut.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just have a straight mohawk. You've got things working for you.
And he cut it too. So it's
exactly. It's almost like he
kinda
does
screwed
what he
himself.
wished he could do on his own head, but he did.
He screwed himself.
He screwed himself out of it, essentially. But I haven't seen a lot of stipulation matches.
Stipulation
and
matches?
now I get it.
Okay.
Stipulation matches, there's a stigma kind of around that too, because
Yeah.
it's like you stick guys or girls in stipulation matches who you don't think are technical ability in the ring.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that that's a stigma that I've heard a lot of, but I have heard some people say that, they put this guy and this guy in the match together because they're not technically sound, but with weapons involved or with this involved, it ups the ante. Would you not agree with me, Dave, on that? Would you agree with me as well? So I haven't seen a lot of stipulation matches, ladder matches, Money in the Bank style matches. I've seen Royal Rumbles. They've had Battle Royals here, which are fantastic. They bring the whole roster out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anytime, because you don't know who's coming through, and everybody gets excited for like a Royal Rumble type match.
Yeah.
But would you guys consider, if one of your students came up to you and said, listen, this is a storyline we've kind of been building for a while. There's no other way to finish this but to do it in this style of match, whether it be a last man standing, whether it be
no
holds barred, tables, ladders, and chairs. Is that something we're going to start seeing within the new Battle Arts regime? Because, I mean, like you said, Anthony's the heartbeat.
Yeah.
But let's face it, there are some wrestlers out there who do get into this because they want to put somebody through a table.
For sure.
So if somebody comes up to you and says, listen, this is the only way we could settle this, like if Joe Gonzalez comes back for his rematch for his title against his tag team partner whose name is completely escaping me right now. Matt Black, thank you. If he comes back and he says, AC, listen, Dave, we got to do this as a 30-minute Iron Man match. There's no other way to do this. That'd be cool. We got to do it. Can we do it?
Yeah.
Would you guys be okay with that? Or I mean, safety comes first, obviously.
For sure. You got to do it in a safe manner. I mean, if we don't trust that you're able to do a match like that, then absolutely not. But if done safely, like I'm game for that. There's a ladder here. It reminds me of it looks like the Shawn Michaels ladder from WrestleMania 10. And it's like,
knowing Anthony, it might very well be.
Hey, I want to see a ladder match.
I have not seen one in this arena.
I want to see.
I've seen one with Destiny, but I have not seen one with Battle Arts. And like I said, you guys have such a great roster. Stigmas aside, and even HWE has a great roster. I mean, the matches, the dream matches from an Ontario indie fan that can happen.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see Roncheenuts go after the Battle Arts tag team titles.
That could happen.
I'd love to see Lee Costa smack both of you around.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to see you guys get your licks in,
I'd like
too.
to give Lee Costa our 3-meat treat finisher.
I think that would be epic.
Who knows?
It could happen.
Who knows?
And then while he's down there, you could say, eat it, beat it, and repeat it, motherfucker.
That's right.
Because I just took your gold.
That's
right? Exactly.
That's right.
Look at that. I cut a promo on the fly. I'm so gifted.
With those matches, though, like I would love to see that. If someone was down for a hair versus hair match, why not? It's a
I'd
story.
love to see Rip. I'd love to see Rip Impact versus Matt Black for bragging rights of a unified world champion between both rosters. That's what I would fucking love.
I listened to the podcast that you had with Scarlett, and you talked about exclusives for your podcast.
Am I going to get an exclusive right now? The hair on the back of my neck just stood up.
Right.
Don't fuck around with me.
So
now.
I will give you an exclusive.
Okay. Is this my early Christmas gift? Because this is going to drop in December.
It is. Because it's what you're talking
I was
about.
really hoping for an Eat It and Repeat It shirt for free. But
Okay.
I'll take the exclusive.
We'll see. Maybe if we charge you more for the haircut, maybe we'll give you a shirt.
This fucking haircut again.
Right?
$40 for a shirt.
If you want to talk, sir, you have to get on camera.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, keep your mouth shut there. But with the exclusive, with what you're talking about with, different rosters, we do plan, obviously this pandemic has played a part in it, but there will be HWE Battle Zone here from the Don Kolov Arena. We plan on having that be a Monday Night Raw-esque program, maybe bringing that back to a 1 hour like Monday Night Raw used to be, instead of dragging out for 3 hours long. I mean, obviously we all love content, but sometimes it's hard to sit through 3 hours.
That middle hour is shit.
Right.
I'll tell Vince McMahon to his face, that middle hour is garbage.
Right.
You know what I do during that middle hour? I eat.
You eat.
A lot.
Take a bathroom break.
I do. Sometimes. I'll mix myself a drink,
check
a
out
cocktail
the hair.
maybe.
Check out the hair.
Check out, see what's going on.
Check out the hair. But HWE Battle Zone. What happens in the Battle Zone? Who knows? We might have part of the HWE roster We may be surprised with Battle Arts roster members, and who knows? We could have the women's championship defended on HWE Battle Zone. We could, again with the heavyweight championship. So HWE does not have a light heavyweight champion. Well, Battle Arts does. We got Sexy Stan. So Battle Arts doesn't have a TV champion. Well, there's Johnny D. So there's exciting things definitely to come, and what will happen, we don't know. That would be an additional exclusive. That's kind of like Christmas and New Year's, but the exclusive of HWE Battle Zone.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And obviously, if it's a Monday Night Raw, there'll be a voice needed to tell the story.
Right.
And I am definitely, sorry, excuse me, kick on my throat, 100% available. No.
Hey, voices, characters, it's the whole, the whole nine. So
that's a huge exclusive, and it dropped right here on my show, and that's awesome. So I can't wait to see it when it happens.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get the phone call when you need a voice to tell a story.
Right.
Again, I'm available.
Right.
And I'm pretty cheap, really, very cheap actually.
Good to know.
Ridiculously cheap. Cup of coffee maybe, and pay for my gas. So I'm okay. Yeah. Gas is expensive nowadays. I mean, it's dropping because of the pandemic.
Yeah, true.
It's under $1.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I aged myself. When it was really bad back in March and April, remember it was like 78 cents?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
I said to my daughter, I'm like, wow, 78 cents. I haven't had since I was 18. She goes, Dad, that's a long time ago.
When I started driving.
That's a long time ago.
When I started driving, I think it was maybe 65, 59 cents a liter. I remember that when I started driving.
I remember watching old movies from the 50s when somebody pulls over to fucking get their gas, pack of cigarettes, and you can even buy gin back in the day. You buy,
$10.
Like, no, it wasn't even $10. It was like 87 cents.
Amazing.
You fill your car for under $1.
It's inflation.
It's ridiculous is what it is.
That's why prices of haircuts go up.
Yeah, exactly. You know what else goes up? Tanning. Okay, tanning goes up too.
Tanning goes up.
And we've seen that because look what happens when Donald Trump tan sprayed himself, right? He looks like a fucking Cheeto.
He lost an election.
Yeah. The tiger from Cheetos is just hating us right now. Cheeto, we're going to get a cease and desist letter from Cheetos. I guarantee you it's going to happen.
Bring it on, Cheetos.
So before we go, because this has been an absolute amazing conversation, I want to thank you. I do always announce this at the end of every show, is that you are now officially a member of the Straight Talk family.
Thank you.
Anytime you want to come back on the show, I'd absolutely love to have you. And maybe next time, Dave can stop chirping stuff in the corner and actually put his face on camera. But I get it. You want to show the best looking member first. Every tag team has a good looking member and a bad looking member.
And you know what? I wholeheartedly agree with you.
I know you do.
Right?
I know
you. I agree.
That's right.
Yeah.
So before we go, one other question to do. The long-term goal, I'm always looking to the long-term goal. I'm looking towards the future. When I talked to Scarlett, I talked about what I saw for her in 2021 and how she was somebody to watch. Bianca Crowley's interview is going to be dropping before your guys. Her and I had an amazing conversation. And there's definitely a few more members of the Battle Arts roster that I would love to tap into because like I do, I think the roster is great. Yeah. And now knowing you guys, I always want to interview the head honchos first before I start tapping into anybody else's roster. But now HWE's roster, I'm assuming, is officially open to me as well.
Right.
But the long-term goal for you guys in Battle Arts and what you want to do with the Ontario Performance Center, how do we shape things now? Because you've already put in some impressive stuff that we were talking about, which now you can take the time to talk about those things. Yeah. Other partnerships that have come into play here and what you're doing now.
Yeah.
But what the long-term goal is. What is the 5-year plan for what you guys have planned for the Battle Arts Academy?
Okay. Well, with Battle Arts Academy being home at the Ontario Performance Center, some things are in place right now to develop the athletes of tomorrow. So with that being said, and this is a wrestling podcast, so I'll touch on the wrestling at the end. We have Muay Thai, we have Jiu-Jitsu, we have Olympic wrestling. We want to bring the boxing program back, which you may be happy about. Not only with that, now we have education here. So with education involved in the Elite Intelligence Academy coming in with Paul, and then Dangle Hockey, and we have a pad here now. So there's hockey skills. There's, which they do hockey skills, they do training, again, education based. And we have all of the sports here for all of our athletes. So we're literally building the athletes of tomorrow. And with that being said, this is the Ontario Performance Center. It is not going away. We are here to take what Anthony created, taking it to another level. More brains in here now. Like there's more people with more heads to think, and and all that. With the wrestling, because this is a wrestling podcast, what I do want to see out of here in the future is battle arts students in the Ontario indie scene more. You know, to be utilized more, to make an impact more. There are, I wouldn't say fast tracks to other promotions. You always have to earn your keep. You have to earn your keep no matter where it is in life, whether it's in a facility like this or even at home. You have to earn, you put in what you get, right? Or you get what you put in. So I definitely want to see the students take it up to another level, whether that be here. Obviously we're a part of the indie scene. There are many others, and then again with Anthony and everything that we talked about before. So it's like, there's a lot of room to grow here, and we're very much, hoping to be a part of the growth. That's like, then, now, forever.
Oh shit! Shit! Segue.
Let's keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that those are the goals here, and that's what we're trying to accomplish now and looking ahead into 2021. So
I like it. That was a fantastic answer and a fantastic way to wrap up this podcast.
Thanks, brother.
And just so people who may not follow you, where can they find you on the wonderful world of social media?
Well, on social media, obviously you can follow at Battle Arts Academy BAA. We do have Facebook as well. There's the HWE Facebook page, on Instagram at the official HWE. And if you want to follow the better half of Roncheenuts,
The nuts in the raunchy.
right? Then I'm what am I at the Coconut?
At the Coconut. Yeah.
At the Coconut. So you'll see my name pop up there. So that's where you could find us. Obviously, we'll have that stuff posted everywhere else. So thank you very much for plugging that and having me on.
No
I was
problem.
very much looking forward to letting everyone know what we plan on doing moving forward. So,
And I'm glad that I gave you the platform to do that.
thank
As
you.
always, guys, I'm your host, your boy, and you know my socials, but just because I'm a glutton for self-promotion, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Facebook, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram, and _ Straight Talk on Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. My following on there is growing. 1,100 people now.
Follow this guy.
Yeah, follow me, because I'm
Follow
amazing.
this guy.
Moneymaker, right here. And I want to thank the better half of Roncheenuts, the nut in Roncheenuts.
Right?
AC
Thank you very
Cocca, for
much,
coming.
George.
And you can also follow Dave. You want to shout? Nah, Dave doesn't want to shout out his socials, but I'm sure if you follow AC, you can get Dave through that.
Yeah, you'll find him there.
Absolutely. As always, guys, I'm your host, your boy. Peace, love, and wrestling. See you guys next week. Peace.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for another episode on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. Also follow us on Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling, and on Twitter at _ Straight Talk. And for all our merchandise, you can search us on ProWrestlingTees.com.